The following video you're about to watch is probably the most value-packed thing you've watched all week. The Start-Your-SaaS community recently had the opportunity to sit down and talk with Alex Schlinsky, the founder of Prospecting on Demand. Before you watch this, I want to make sure that you're in a quiet area with a pen and paper ready to take notes. The whole video should only take you around an hour and 30 minutes to get through. I'll drop Alex's Instagram account down below. Feel free to give him a follow. I'll also drop my Instagram down below. If you're interested in joining up on the Start Your SaaS program and you want to start a SaaS company and get to 5 to 10K within the next 90 days, just follow me on Instagram and DM me the word SaaS. Without wasting any more of your time, we'll jump straight into the interview.
What's up? I love like unique last names. I'm big on that. And Jason, is the right way to say your last name McElchar? How do you say your last name?
It's McElchar. It's pronounced McElchar. It's an Irish name. Yeah.
There's 0% chance I would have got that.
Yeah.
McElchar?
McElchar, yeah, that's the big broad accent. You'll say McElchar, but yeah, that's it. Yeah, for sure.
All right, we need to get a UFC fighter with your last name because everyone will fuck it up, right? McGregor's too easy, right? You gotta get
exactly.
You gotta get McElchar, you know.
Sure,
But
that's wild. Appreciate you jumping on, man. If you want to briefly introduce yourself to all the guys, I know they have plenty of questions and stuff for you.
Yeah, cool. My name's Alex Schlinsky, balding Jew out in Tampa, Florida. Across the planet for most of you, I would guess. I run a digital marketing agency mastermind called Prospecting on Demand. Been doing that since 2016. I've run a marketing agency since 2010 for personal injury attorneys. Both companies are seven-figure businesses, thank God. I have a 2-year-old son, which is the greatest thing in the entire fucking world. Being a dad is the best. He's the bomb. Ellie's so much fun. I've got a wife. I've got a nice home. I'm alive. I had open heart surgery in 2020, 0 to 5 stars. Don't recommend it. That shit sucks. Don't have surgery or heart surgery. And I coach agencies on how to scale, particularly SaaS agencies and PPL agencies. What's up, Andrew? I love his energy. And speaking at the June mastermind for GHL. So if you guys are going to be there, I will see you. If not, well, then I won't see you. That's your fault. Not my fault.
Sounds good, man. I seen you had your event recently, the Prospecting on Demand, where all your clients and everything was meeting up. How'd that go? What all went down?
Yeah, it was great. We had a 3-day event in Detroit last week. I'm still recovering, like I told Jason. So I am a little bit tired, to be very honest with you. But yeah, we had 65 agencies come out from across the world, hanging out in Detroit. We did 3 days of masterminding, networking. We always do like workbook sessions. It's kind of our model. Like I hate the idea of doing like speaker after speaker after speaker. That shit is so annoying and boring. So we're doing big masterminding formats, workshopping, intentionality, just making sure everyone has a good time. Gave everyone copies of my book. I think Jason got a couple copies for you guys as well. The Anti-Hustler's Handbook. See, one thing that really bothers me about the space today is people are like, I wrote a book and they wrote this, right? They wrote like 18. This is a book. Okay, this is a real book. I wrote it. That's me when I had more hair. I looked better. Fucking bullshit, but whatever. It's all good. I see there's one other bald man here. Daniel, good. We're together. It's good. If I can just have your beard though, I'd be a little bit better, but fuck it. It is what it is. If you didn't grab my book, what the fuck? One, that's my first thing. Second, grab my book. You'll really like it. I think you'll really enjoy it. I worked really hard on it. Took me forever to write it, almost 2 years. But it was great. It was really cool to see all my clients have it. I was able to sign some books and then showcase how horrible my handwriting is. So that was a great time too. That was a lot of fun. But no, it was a really good event. We rented out the Detroit Pistons Arena. That's the basketball team here in the US. And we played basketball for an hour, which was a good time. Yeah, it was just a really good time being with our clients. We're a very fun community. We try to hang out with each other as much as possible, enjoy each other's company. I see you guys do that same thing. It looks like Jason's doing a great job leading his tribe. It's really good to have community. So you guys are doing a really good job.
Cheers, man. Sounds good. Listen, if anyone has any questions for Alex, raise your hand. Robert, I'll let you go first because I know you have a few there as well. But anyone else, raise your hand. We'll soon get around to you.
Hi, Alex. My name is Robert. Nice to meet you, man. I'm from Ireland. I'm from Ireland as well. Good friend of Jason's. This community is amazing. I'm glad that we got you on this call as well, along with so many like important and amazing people. I'm
not important or amazing, but I'll take it. It's all good.
Well, to us you are, so take that as a compliment. Yeah, but what's it called? Yeah, I just wanted to ask you, how do you compare like you and your day-to-day now with how you were at the very start when you started everything, starting building your skills, started to get to know people, all of that, and how it is now?
It's a really
What
good
is the
question.
key difference?
Yeah, it's a really good question. I think there's a couple key differences that I'll share with you. I think the first thing is I actually ran my agency for 4 years without even knowing I ran it. I'll explain to you what that means or how. Does anyone know who I am in terms of my backstory? Can I share it publicly? Is that cool? You guys good with that?
Yeah, please.
I mean, go ahead.
I'll share it briefly. So I went to college in Orlando, Florida, University of Central Florida. I had met my wife in high school. So we were dating in high school, dated in college, and got married right after college. And we knew we were going to get married from high school. We knew that. So we went to college together. In college, we both studied psychology. Mostly because I think transparently, we just didn't really know what we wanted to do with our life at that time, which I think is fairly common for young adults. I think it's a pretty common thing. And psychology is like one of the most common like baseline studies that people do to go into many different walks of life. Unless you're going to be a doctor or an attorney, a lot of people do psychology or like business, right? When I went to college, my initial intention was to become an attorney, but I did an internship after my senior year of high school with my next door neighbor who was a personal injury attorney. And I remember, going to work with him the first day. I was all suited up, looked hella fresh. And I remember going into his car. He had this small ass BMW. He was very large, like probably 350-pound guy, stuffed into a small car. If you guys know who Shaquille O'Neal is, think of Shaquille O'Neal, but like 5 foot instead of 7, and stuffed into a really small car. His where the cup holder was an ashtray. But I want to clarify, not an ashtray like he put an ashtray in there. He made the cup holder an ashtray. I just want to kind of portray the kind of person this guy was, smoking a cigarette and putting it out in the car. And he's asking me like, why do you want to become an attorney? And I remember answering it like I thought an 18-year-old should, like, I want to make a difference in the world and this and whatever bullshit it was. And I remember his response. I'll never forget it, Robert. He said, I'm going to make sure 100% that you don't become an attorney. And he went on to tell me for the next 30-minute drive down to Miami's courthouse, how horrible his life is, how much time he had wasted, how he hates doing this, how he's stuck. He wished he was an entrepreneur and all these other things. And it was a really big eye-opening experience because I think when I started, Robert, I grew up in a home and in a community of positivity. That was just how it was. Roses and daisies all the time. No matter how bad things were, it was always spun positively. I know not everyone lives that life, but that's how my life was lived. And so this was probably the first time ever someone had straight up just told me like, no, this shit is bad. I'm doing bad. Life is bad. And it was very, very shocking because I respected this guy a lot. You could see by his home that he had done well financially. He had a child. He seemed well outside of his clear, not good physical health because he was a large man. It definitely was an eye-opener for me. It made me not want to go to law school. And I think it made me question a lot of things about entrepreneurship in the first place. My mom was an entrepreneur. My dad was an entrepreneur. I didn't really have the desire to build a business, but I think because of that experience, I desired it more. When I went to school, Facebook had just launched business pages. If you guys don't remember this, before business pages, Facebook was strictly a social network with no advertising. The way that they made money was through third-party vendors making apps on the website, which is not really a thing anymore, but they used to have like games like this Jetpack Joyride game, which became its own game, but that was like kind of the main thing. And like graffiti wall shit, like you could buy gifts. That was how Facebook made money originally, but they were clearly setting up for obviously the ads behemoth that they are today. And so by starting Facebook business pages, the first year of business pages, they would give amazing reach to people that would come on Facebook because they were basically getting off of Google, going on Facebook. And so if you were in the local area, even if you didn't like a page, you can get essentially an ad without paying for it, right? And so I would post for him every single day for about 6 months, and he was getting cases from it and making money from it. And he would send me very nice gifts. Like we're talking like PS3 at that time, illicit drugs, to be honest, marijuana was his big thing. He would send me a lot. Hey, whatever it is what it is, being real. A lot of money, just like any deals he would create, he would send me money. He was a very gifting type of person. And when I went to college, I asked him if he knew any other attorneys that he went to law school with that I could do the same thing for. And he sent me 20 attorneys from across the United States, 20. 10 of which became clients, all of which paid me $1,000 a month. And I was, I think, 19 years old. At that time, Robert, I think the difference of what you're asking now is I still didn't even think I had a business. I thought I was just a very smart hustler. That was how my brain worked at that time. I'm like, man, I'm savvy as fuck. That was how my brain was. Like, I'm just really savvy. The truth is I wasn't that savvy. All I did was ask a question. I just asked one question. I'd never in a million years expected that he was going to send me 20 people. I never in a million years expected 10 of them would become clients. I never in a million years expected I'd be making $10,000 a month at 19 years old, freshman year in high school or in college. And then I did all 4 years of college. I retained pretty much all of those clients. My wife and I would wake up every day about an hour before school started. We would be posting on their socials, trying not to use the same ones and sending out constant contact newsletters. And if none of you know what constant contact is, that's me showing my age. That used to be the CRM back in the day, before Infusionsoft, before ActiveCampaign, before GHL. That was like the main one. MailChimp and Constant Contact were the main ones. And so when I graduated school, I had probably collected roughly like $500,000 or so over the last 4 years. Now, did I keep all of it? No, because I'm a dumbass 18-year-old and spent a lot of it on extremely dumb things, as you can imagine, mostly, being hot shit in college and buying everyone drinks and being stupid and buying things for my girlfriend and things for myself that I didn't need. But, I don't give myself any, hate for it. I was young, like it is what it is. Right. So I think I left and probably had like $250,000 in the bank probably. And I was thinking, like I could probably start a business with this, but I didn't really know where to start. Until I started researching, well, is there anything more I can learn about advertising? And that was the first time in 4 years, after running a business for 4 years, that I searched it. And as soon as you search it, obviously ads come in. And that's when I started getting ads from Dave Rogan-Moser, from Sam Ovens, Dan Henry a little bit, Ty Lopez, Russ Ruffino. And I just started getting a deluge of these ads all the time about biz op opportunities of running a digital marketing agency. And the words for the first time created a paradigm for me of something I've already done for 4 years, which was a digital marketing agency, but I didn't put that together. I had no idea that I was running a digital marketing agency. What was I doing? I was posting on social media for attorneys. What is that called? I don't know. I have no idea what it was called. And so I just didn't have any sort of foundational understanding of what I was already doing was already a business that was going to end up now 10 years later, providing this amazing home for my family. I've worked with thousands of agencies. I've helped literally make hundreds of millions of dollars online for my community, myself, and the people obviously that I've worked with online. Starting from the place of 4 years of literally not knowing that I was running a business, which sounds insane, but hopefully the story kind of gives you clarity as to why I just didn't put the 2 and 2 together. And so obviously at that point, things changed a lot. I started getting one-to-one coaching and investing in myself. You asked me what's the biggest difference. When I was starting then, I was much more greedy than I am now. Mostly because I grew up in a home that money was very tight. And so I had a very bad relationship with money. And so the idea of investing $10,000, $15,000, $20,000, $30,000 on ads or mentorship or coaching, that was not going to happen. And I didn't do that for probably 3 years, which really stalled my growth a lot. Now I invest any amount of money required to get either more time for myself or better impact for my clients, because the only thing I care about more than anything, very bluntly, is my son and my wife. More than anything, I love my community. I love what we do in my business, but nothing will ever compare to that. And any time that I spend doing anything, including this, that means I'm choosing this over time with my son. And that is not something I'm ever comfortable with. Ever, right? No matter what, though, you have to make sacrifices. It's part of life and part of business. But that is by far the biggest change, Robert, from who I was to who I am now. At that, it took me probably after the initial 4 years, the 3 years of me knowing I had the business, probably took me 3 years to start really investing. I was investing for courses like 500 to 1,000, but I didn't invest into one-on-one mentorship until I think 2016. And that was the best investment I ever made. That investment scaled my business times 10, made me a million times smarter entrepreneur. I only wish I did it sooner. So that money mindset was a huge, huge difference. The other major difference was cultivating relationships. It's very similar to what it was before. I'm a cultivating relationships type of person. Jason might have not told you this, but he messaged me probably 50 times before we did this meeting. Not because I was purposely ignoring him, but because I'm busy as fuck. And I literally get over 100 messages a day. I'm not lying. I swear to God, I will show you my messenger right now on Instagram, on LinkedIn, on Facebook. It's probably more than 100, honestly, a day. On LinkedIn is like 70, but it's a bunch of horseshit messages, as I'm sure you guys know. But in general, like I was big on cultivating relationships. I was doing what Jason was doing, trying to get in front of associations so I could sell one-to-many, which I did a lot of. Like, oh, I'm going to go to this attorney association and I'm going to talk to them about social media and I'm going to get 20 clients from it. And I was a savage at that. And I'm still a savage at that. The difference is when I was starting, I had no proof. I had nothing to start with. Now my proof is so incredibly overwhelming that the opportunity is so much easier, right? Like I'm speaking at the GHL event in June with 150 people, all of which could be my clients. I spoke at the event in October last year with 300 people in a private breakout. And then like whatever it was, 1,000 people on the main stage because of the connections I've made. So that is a different angle. Like the work that I put in to at the beginning allowed me to have better leverage now, but it's just tenacity. The last thing I'll say on this in terms of the difference is I was prior to my surgery, very bluntly, which was in October 15th, 2020, a massive hustler. Nothing was good enough. Nothing was ever enough. The game was more. That was the game. So we play American football here. I don't know how many of you know this, but I think this is the easiest framework to consider for me. If you're at the 1 yard line in American football and you get over the 1 yard line, it's a touchdown and the series starts over, right? But if your goal metaphorically is the end zone, but no matter what movement you do, you automatically go back to the 10-yard line every time. That's what hustling is like. That's what entrepreneurship is like. It's running a race without a finish line. It's climbing a mountain with no peak. It's not acknowledging any victory whatsoever because the only thing that matters is doing more. Why should you do more? Because someone said you should do more. Why should you do more? Because of the constant mindset of if you're not growing, you're dying, which is the most fucking retarded thing that could possibly be said as someone that straight up almost died on an actual surgery bed. You can see my scar. I don't know if you guys can see my scar. Kind of hard to see right here, but you can see it at the top a little bit. It goes all the way to my belly button. 0 out of 5 stars. Again, that's actually dying, not bullshit hustle culture mindset of if you're not growing, you're dying. Says who, right? And so the biggest change, Robert, by far was being significantly more intentional about what I want, defining exactly what I'm looking for from my life so I can deliver it unapologetically, because I don't need to build a life that Gary Vee thinks is cool or Tony Robbins thinks is cool or Grant Cardone thinks is cool. The only fucking person that I have to answer to is me. That's it, period. And I think this is the number one thing. It's the, first of all, main reason I wrote this book, main reason. And second is because too many entrepreneurs, especially young people, don't define their success either one of two reasons. One, they're afraid that they'll never achieve it. That's number one. They're afraid that they're never going to achieve it. Or two, they don't know what's going to make them happy or satisfied, right? So they're like, I want a Bugatti, but then you work for 3 to 5 years, you get a Jeep Wrangler and you're the happiest you've ever been. Who fucking cares if you got the Bugatti or not? Social media, guess what? No one on social media gives a fuck about you. No one cares about you. No one cares. It's all fake. It's all bullshit. Gary Vee doesn't give a shit about you. It's okay. The only thing that matters is you, your family, your network, the people that actually matter. That's the by far biggest change. But I'll be transparent with you, Robert, and everyone else, right? You don't just be a hustler for 12 years, have surgery, and then magically stop hustling. That's impossible. It doesn't work that way. I'm a wolf now trying to be a dog. That is not an easy transition. The metaphor is pretty easy. If I go out and I collect, right? I create assets, I collect money, I create opportunity, I collect connection. I do all the shit that I'm really, really good at. And I bring it home to my wife and to my child. Before my wife and child could say, we have enough, I'm already out the door hunting again. That's what hustle culture does. That's what I'm vehemently against. I don't like that. I do not believe in that. I don't want entrepreneurs to believe in that. So any of you listening, you define what you want. You can make it happen for yourself. And if you don't know exactly what you want, start with something and then optimize towards it. You can't run a race without a finish line. That is by far, Robert, the difference between who I was when I started to who I am now. When I started, I had no fucking clue what I wanted. I only knew what someone else told me. If I spoke to someone that I respected and appreciated and they said, to be successful, you have to make 50K a month, that was my goal. Why? Because they said it. Who fucking cares what they say? Doesn't mean shit to me. Their responsibility of the 50K is completely different than mine. They might have 5 brothers and sisters. I have 2. They might have 7 kids. I have 1. Everyone's life is different. We only get one shot at this. I'm telling you this as someone that was told at 29 years old, you have to have open heart surgery and you could die. My wife was 5 months pregnant when I had the surgery. I don't think any of you are right now old enough probably to have a wife or kids. I don't know if I'm correct on that or not, but I'm guessing it's somewhere around that number. Just imagine what that's like though. A doctor telling you that and then having surgery when your wife is 5 months pregnant. That shit fucking sucks, dude. You think I care about business when we're going into that? No. It's a radical change. That is by far the biggest change. And it's something I really, really make sure I speak to every single person about. The request that I had of Jason was, I want you to buy the book for every single person, not fucking for me. It's not for me. You guys aren't going to do shit by buying 8 books. Nothing's going to happen. It's not going to make any difference. But if you actually read the book, instead of it being a paperweight, it will change your life. It really will. That is by far the most important thing to me. Yes, I can come on here and share ideas on sales and help you make money and shit. But it doesn't matter if you don't have a finish line. And if all of you are listening to this and you're like, well, fuck, dude, I don't know my finish line. Good wake up call. Work towards it. Build something for you. Not because what Jason said, not because what Sean Clark said, not because of what Alex said, but what you want. That's by far the biggest difference. Hopefully that was a good answer for you.
Thank you, Alex. Yeah. And on the topic of obviously talking about you navigating, different events that you're doing now that's coming up in June. The release of your book, having a family, dealing with the open heart surgery, all of that type of stuff. How have you found your inner locus of control within all of this chaos? And with the life that you've made for yourself, you've made yourself the center point and kind of like the gravity of everything. So how do you manage to, have a calmness within you, like around all of this that's going on around you?
I don't.
You don't?
I don't have a calmness. No. I get therapy to try to have a calmness. I get coaching to have a calmness. I refuse to take drugs to try to have a calmness. I think that's like one of the main problems in the United States. They're trying to constantly just get you on Xanax, get you on antidepressants and shit. I'm not depressed. I'm trying to change from who I was for 12 years into who I am now 2 years after surgery. And it's just a hard change, bro. Just a hard change. But I try to make this point clear to anyone I speak to. Social media warps what reality is. People are like, dude, Alex, is amazing how you wrote the book, wasn't it? It looks like it was so easy. I'm like, what? How the fuck? Where the fuck did you get that idea? It was the hardest thing ever. It was not easy at all. They're like, oh, you seem so calm and tranquil. Well, where? From what concept? Where do you get that idea, right? People think that money automatically makes you calm and more calm. Yeah, I make a lot of money. It's true. I do. I've done very well for myself financially. I have an awesome home. I have a great life. I'm secure. My wife is secure. My kid is secure. I'm grateful for that. But it doesn't matter. You know why? Because old Alex still thinks I need to hunt more. We have 10 deer killed in the back of the fridge. But what am I doing? I'm going out and I'm hunting for more deer. Because what am I going to do if I'm just sitting there? I don't know. I don't know what to do. Right. So I don't want to sit here and pretend in any way that I have found some perfect level of calm in the storm. I haven't. There's some things that I found that have worked, that have helped. Journaling by far has been the most beneficial for me. Being very intentional. I'm an extremely intentional person. I spend my time very carefully and I'm very intentional about the things I want out of my life to the best of my ability. Doesn't mean I do it perfectly, but I'm very, very keen on that as much as possible. But I don't have the answer for you transparently. I don't know how to stay calm or be in the storm. I've paid for mentorship from people that, are private equity firms, make billions and billions of dollars. And I talked to them about like, I'm in a secure place where it feels like nothing possibly could go wrong, but it also feels at the exact same time like it's a house of cards, like it all crumbled down in 1 second. And you know what the guy that I paid thousands and thousands of dollars told me? He said, Alex, the amount of money I have, bluntly, is enough for 10 generations. And I still have that same feeling that you have. Now, I wasn't very happy with that answer, but he was being honest with me. And that's the same thing I'm telling you. It doesn't change. I can't tell you. I think the answer is therapy. I think that's the answer. I've tried a lot of different therapy, talk therapy, hypnotherapy, lots of different therapies, sauna therapy, red light therapy. I've tried a lot of it. I think that the real answer, transparent answer, is having heart surgery and being positioned in a potential mortality situation at 29 years old fucks you up. There's no other way to say it. When I was 14 years old, my dad almost died completely randomly. He had a stroke randomly one day, and did not work for 2 years because of the stroke. He's alive and well, thank God now, but that was my Superman, right? I mean, I don't know how many of you are close with your parents, but I was very close to my dad. One day he just comes home. He's like, I can't feel the left half of my body. We thought he might die. Didn't die. He's all good. That's what life is, though. We all think we have this invincibility complex. It's just not like that. Just not like that. And if right now you're in a position where you don't have anyone you know that has passed away, anyone that has been really sick, I really want you to be incredibly grateful of what you have. People talk about this all the time. The idea of like, we're constantly working on something else in our business, in our life. But then when we get to a position of our health, the only thing any sick person cares about is their health. That's the only thing anyone cares about. Just keep that consideration in mind. So I don't want to sit here, Robert, and tell you that I figured out how to be calm. I don't know how. I have not figured it out. Journaling has helped a lot. And then leveraging team, being very comfortable in leveraging team and letting shit slide and me not doing everything has been helpful. Does it get me where I want it to be perfectly? Absolutely not. Under no circumstance. That's not true. So I want to be real with you.
Yeah, no, that was kind of like the answer I was expecting. And the only reason I asked it was just because of the whole glamour of social media right now. Like, it's all bullshit. Like, all of it is bullshit. Everybody lives this like amazing, insane life, but no one shows
fake,
like
all
yeah,
fake.
it's all fake.
All
That's
fake.
what I mean. That's why I asked
People only show what they want to show. And either it's the two ends of the extreme. There's people that like just love talking about how shitty their life is, right? We all know those people. And then there's people that only want to share with you only the good stuff, right? It's really hard to get a mix of everything. We only live in a Zoom box, right? You only see my box. You don't see the context. You don't see the context. You don't see the context. And that's the thing that's missing from social media, right? So like staying away from that has helped me a lot. I really don't look at social media. I post on it every single day, obviously for my business, but I try to stay away from it. I have this picture on my desk for a reason. Like I was saying, this is what keeps me calm, staying focused on what really matters, which is my son. That's the thing I care about most. And just making sure that I'm aligned. Again, am I perfect? No. The thing that I would really recommend to all of you, please listen to this, please, for the love of God, put down the bat and pick up the feather. If you are constantly talking shit to yourself internally about how you're not doing enough, or this comment, I should be there by now, very common, I should have done that. Obviously, hindsight is 2020. Looking back on the past of what you should have done doesn't benefit you in any way. You can only move forward. That's the only thing you can do. Stop talking shit about yourself. If you listen to that voice in your head consistently, and instead of that voice, it was Jason, would you ever be a part of this community? If Jason was just talking shit to you all the time? Fuck no. You would get him so far out of your life so fucking fast, you wouldn't even be able to remember what his last name was. Makinchaney Kapadu, whatever, right? No way. But instead, that person that's living rent-free inside your fucking head, you're listening to him all day long. Stop. Just stop. You don't need that shit in your life. You don't need it. Positivity, positive affirmations, journaling, meditation, all of those things help, but it takes time and it takes grace. Give yourself grace. Put down the bat, pick up the feather.
Thank you, Alex. I appreciate the answers. I won't take up any more of your time because everybody else wants to ask you questions. I'll pass it on to Kevin.
Mr. O'Brien, how are you, buddy?
How are you? I was actually just looking at your 4-day challenge videos today with Paulson and your business partner.
Nice.
I just heard you just arguing over who's the better looking one, and I'd say it's definitely him now, to be honest.
Oh, I hate you. Great, awesome.
I know. But look, you're second place, so that's not bad.
Out of 2.
I know. I'm only messing.
You're good.
I was just like, how there's often been an opportunity that, like, I have a background in like ventilation and plumbing and stuff, and there's often been kind of an opportunity presented to me, like I can still do this on the side because it hasn't taken off that much yet. It's not a point where I could depend on it, but like I plan on moving abroad and doing a bit of traveling, but like I could start a business out of this in the next month, like, and I have from my old boss, I can generate cash flow fairly quickly. Like, how did you choose your business partner? Like, how did that come about?
Yeah, it's a good question. So Brian and I met in a mastermind in 2018. In that mastermind, they did spotlight sessions, once a month, which was basically, or I think it was twice a month. I can't remember. That's irrelevant. Basically what they would do, they would ask people in the community to like submit an idea that they would present on for an hour. And I did sales training. Sales was kind of like the main thing that I coach most of the time. I did a sales psychology training. And Brian Downard was in the mastermind. And I remember him commenting like, wow, this was super valuable. Thank you for this, blah, blah, blah. I'm hosting the one next month. I think like linking up on it, you'd really like it. So I watched his, which was about LinkedIn prospecting, because he did a done for you LinkedIn service at the time. I just loved his energy. I loved his style. And I just connected with him. I had just started POD at that time. We had sold 200 courses at $1,000 a piece. And then we just had begun one-on-one coaching, and I had, I think, probably 12 clients or so. And I was doing very well. But I knew that I could not do it by myself. And I was missing someone that's really good at prospecting, because like I was pretty good at it, but much better at sales than I was at prospecting. And Brian just fit that really well. So I messaged him. I told him about like, is he interested in coaching and would he be open to that? And he said he would be down. We did some shadow coaching. We worked together for about 6 months where I was paying him. I flew him out to Tampa, Florida, where I live. We hung out together, just became boys immediately. And then I was just like, I think we could just build a business together a lot more successfully than we could separately. And he was super down for that. And so we worked out a specific agreement. And now it's been 5 years, which is insane. And it's been amazing. You know, it's been amazing. We just did the event in Detroit in his hometown. So it was a really cool experience.
Yeah, no, it's just because I'd like to kind of leave, if I can get to a good enough level, I'd love to leave it to somebody, and then I can take care of the technical side, but the day-to-day, leave it to somebody else. So I was just looking for it. And
yeah, you don't need to, by the way, Kevin, you don't need to jump to partnership right away. You need to jump to shadowing, testing out their skill set, and then kind of seeing what it looks like. But you're not in the position, Kevin, of jumping to partnership yet. That's too early.
Yeah, I know. It's just because it's kind of my old boss has kind of set me up in this way. There was an opportunity there, and it's something that he can't devote time to. So I was just wondering if there's somebody I could, like, it would be a good opportunity. I was just kind of looking for somebody that helped me with it. But no, that's good. I know Brian is the kind of the prospecting guy. So just say I wanted your opinion on this. If you were doing like just a Loom video outreach to HVAC prospector that, and they only had 10 reviews and their competitors had like 50 plus, would you just say send a Loom video to them and point that out? No. What would be
I would never do personalized Loom outreach one-to-one, because the number of people that will watch it is going to be such a small percentage compared to the amount of work you put in. So if you do 100 videos, each of which take, let's say 5 minutes, that's 500 minutes. Whatever. How many hours is 500 minutes?
What, nearly
here? Yeah, 8 hours, you know, 8.25 hours. It's a lot of time. How many people of the 500 or the 100 people watch it? 10, maybe. So it's a really small percentage. So the time is really badly used. So instead, what you do is a templated Loom video. So what you do is you frame the message. You're like, hey, I noticed you don't have as many reviews as some of your competition. I put together a video that you can check out. I'd love to create a custom audit for you on exactly what you need to do to get more results. And then you have a templated video. And the templated video is like, hey there, what's going on? In this video, I'm just going to show you how some people in this area have more reviews. Now, this doesn't mean it's your direct competition. I'm actually making this video as a request where I can make a custom one for you, only if you end up watching this. But here's an example of a company that's doing this versus this. And here's the things they did. Let me help you do it. And so instead, it's one video they have to film instead of 8 hours of videos they have to film. That would be the number one recommendation I have. And then I would follow up with them everywhere. So I do message via email. I reach out to them on their contact us page. I would call them. I would message them on Facebook, on Instagram, on LinkedIn, and then I would go in person. Too many people don't go in person. This is what's called Audacity sales. Or Dunkin' Donuts sales. I don't think you guys have Dunkin' Donuts across the world. I don't think so. I could be wrong. I don't know. What you do? Okay, I don't know. Anyways, Dunkin' fucking sucks ass here in America anyway, so you're not missing out. The bigger thing though is if you go to any place that has coffee and donuts, right? And you go in person to a place with donuts, what you're doing is something that no one else is doing, which is being audacious enough to go in person and provide value up front, which makes it a lot harder to say no. It's really easy to say no to someone on a phone or to ignore them on a message. It's much harder to do that in person. And that really works. It's how I got probably 15 attorneys when I lived in Florida. I still live in Florida. I meant when I was in college, I went to probably 50 different attorneys' offices. probably within a 2-hour radius of where I lived. I would do it every single Monday, probably for a year. I did that. I think 50 weeks or so, try to go to 1 to 2 per week on average. And I was just generating so much opportunity from that. I think I made easily $500,000 just from that alone. It's just not common enough. We don't see it enough. Most people just want to stay behind their computer, get out there, make a huge difference.
Yeah, it's just the niche that I'm kind of targeting is like combat sports gyms. So you know, they're either, if they're working full time and then they're training, just say in the evening, like really, like I 100% understand like if that was their main spot, but like, you know, if I'm just going up and disturbing their training and saying like, hey, do you want this? Like, you know, I'll be probably told to fuck off. No.
Nah, you're in your head. You're in your head. You're not disturbing anything, right? It's totally feasible to get, you know, taken, like put aside. I don't think the donut idea works super well for martial arts gyms, to be fair. But in general, like you're in your head. You're doing this thing where does anyone know what stoicism is on this call?
Yeah, it's kind of it's like where you don't react emotionally, or like just
analytical and I would guess the Irishman, who's the Conor McGregor fan, probably knows who that is, right? Conor has a whole about this. But in general, one of the major concepts of stoicism is a famous philosopher named Seneca. And he says that we often suffer more in imagination than we do in reality. And the concept behind that is that basically in our minds, we curate this idea of something being really bad, all these things that could go wrong, yada, yada, yada. And then like we actually do the thing and it's not anywhere near what we thought it was. And so the concept that I use is this is the problem that we think we're going to have. And then when it actually happens is the problem we have. Okay. And that's a really important concept. So if you start getting into your mind about all the reasons you shouldn't do it, that's exactly when you should do it. That's the exact point in which you should create the opportunity to go out there and create this opportunity for yourself. If you come back to me and say, I did it and this is what happened, great. Now we can optimize for it, but you can't speak it before it happens.
Yeah. I was kind of one of the gyms that I go to, he's creating this, it's like this fighting, I can't remember. It's like an association of basically all gyms. So it's like your red light, where you kind of create a partnership with somebody like you have it with GHL. So I was hoping that I could kind of leverage that in a way, but just say if you were reaching out to somebody in Ireland, would you kind of go the way you said then, just say if you're doing a Loom video outreach, generic video, kind of mass media, 100%. Whoever responded, then personalize it?
100%. But I would call them and I would, rather than do a personalized video, I would do it on the call. That's what I would do.
Okay,
instead of doing, like, hey, normally I would do a video, but if I do a video, you might have questions for me. Why don't you just jump on with me for 15 minutes? I'll show it to you live and you can ask me any questions you have.
Yeah, that's actually really good now. I'll just have two kind of quick questions.
Go ahead.
Just about it, like obviously I know what kind of happens in America kind of goes around the Western world. Like, is there anything you're doing personally to kind of insulate yourself against like the recession that everybody kind of is guessing is going to come?
Yeah, I don't worry about things that are outside of my control. I think Robert asked me before about like my locus of control. I don't control the recession. I don't control anything related to that. What I do know is that my products are invaluable, are necessary and required, and that no matter what recession is coming, if it's coming or if it's not coming, at the end of the day, their money is going to exchange hands, right? It's not like money is just going to stop flowing. Businesses are all going to die. Will there be a hit? Sure, there'll be a hit. I'm sure of it. Not just for me, but for many others. But at the end of the day, I'm not going to sit here and try to worry about the shit regarding my recession or regarding a recession. The thing that I care about most is my service invaluable? At the end of the day, if I look at my clients, right, and they look at their profit and loss statement at the end of the month, and they look at Prospecting on Demand, my mentorship program, or Sky Social Media, which is my marketing agency, if they look at either of those things on their P&L, are they thinking, I need this, or I'm able to cut this? My goal consistently is always they need it, no matter what. Is that always going to happen? Of course not. I mean, you're going to lose clients as part of it. But in general, that's the main mindset I have. I don't worry about shit that I can't control.
Yeah. So like kind of what's that thing, John? Like you're making yourself so good, you're not kind of worrying about everybody else. Like it's just.
100%. People do that stuff because of the same thing Robert was talking about. They need content. They need topics, right? It's talking head content. So it's like a recession's coming up. They don't know what the fuck they're talking about, but there are recessions coming up. Here's how to plan for it, right? That's just a method in which you generate opportunity because it's a fear-based marketing tactic, and fear-based marketing works. There's two really amazing marketing tactics: talking about good-looking women and fear. That's the two things people like. Bluntly, that's the reality. That's how it works. That's why you see a lot of women marketing, and that's why you see a lot of people saying, you're going to die. This is going to be bad. Here's a recession. You're going to lose all your money. That's how people are. People make decisions based off of fear of loss, not prospect of gain. That's how people make decisions. So inherently, more people will be doing a lot of marketing related to the fear of the recession. The thing that matters the most is, are you providing an invaluable service to your clients? Is it a no-brainer? And do you feel confident that it's a no-brainer? If you feel confident that it's a no-brainer, make sure they know that it's a no-brainer. It's critically important. Make sure that they know it's a no-brainer. You need to make sure that they're clear on that. If you think that way, they need to think that way. And if they don't, you need to understand why. It's a simple math equation, okay? I'm going to do this with all of you guys. If you're half paying attention, this is the time to pay attention. By the way, if you're on this call, I'd really prefer you to have your video on. Just saying. But in general, quick note here. I want all of you to answer this in the chat. If I gave you an ATM machine, okay, you put $1 into the ATM machine and the ATM machine spits out $10. How much money would you put into the ATM machine? Write it in the chat. How much money would you put into the ATM machine? If you put $1 in and you get $10 back, how much would you put into the ATM machine? How much? How much?
Whatever's in my bank.
Whatever's in my bank. Who else? What else? My whole bank.
Whatever is in anybody's bank, I can get access.
All my money, infinite, right? You would put in an infinite number. Okay, cool. Here, let's do another one. Are you ready? Let's do another one. What if it's the same exact machine, but you put $1 in and got $2 back? How much would you put in? How much? The answer should be exactly the fucking same. That's the thing that you want to be selling your product based off of, right? Some people make decisions because they're not getting a 1 to 10 return, which is absolutely moronic. What you're going to do is you're going to express to your clients that my goal is to help you create a 1 to 10 ATM machine. I want to give you $1 and give you $10 back. That's what I want to do. But even if I give you $2 back for every dollar you give, you would still put in an unlimited amount of money. But here's the thing as to why you want to work with me, Kevin. It's because when you put $1 in and I give you $2 back, we're not celebrating like this is the best thing ever. We are constantly striving to make that $2.50, to make that $5, to make that $7, to make it $8.50, to make it $10 or beyond. This is also how, when you share case studies, you remove skepticism. Because we live in a world of AI, because we live in a world of Photoshop, right? So a lot of you, I don't really know what your ages are, but I'm kind of guessing most of you are like sub 25. It kind of seems like majority of you. If you guys remember in the beginning of Photoshop, right, there was a huge amount of skepticism on what photos are real or not, right? There was this super famous photo. I don't know if you guys have heard of this or seen this super famous photo of an American Black Hawk, which is a helicopter where like there's soldiers coming out of the Black Hawk and there's a huge shark that are like about to bite them. Massive internet conspiracy that it was a real photo. Obviously, it was not a fucking real photo, but it was good Photoshop for the time. Obviously, now everyone would know it's fake, but it's the same exact thing that happens when it comes to reviews, when it comes to case studies, when it comes to proof. Everyone thinks you're lying. Everyone thinks you made it up. Everyone thinks it's AI or Photoshop, not because they think you are a liar, not because they are questioning you as a person. It's because they're skeptical in general. That's how people are, cynical. That's what life is now. We live in a very cynical society where everyone thinks someone's trying to get one over them. That's the mindset that most people have. So how do you deal with that? Transparency, by telling them, hey, a lot of people might feel like these are cherry-picked results, right? Oh, this is like BS. These are the only best results. Let me clarify something for you. And do the ATM metaphor. And then explain, sure, this is some of the results where you get $1 to $10. But even if I give you $1 to $2, you'll never stop working with me. That's why it's a no-brainer.
Yeah. I remember that from the 4-day challenge, like a brilliant example. Just a bit of a cheeky request now. On the 4-day challenge, your business partner Brian, he shared like obviously that's like a year old. Is there any chance you could send that over to Jason and he could share them scripts with the group if possible?
Yeah.
So that
no
everybody will get access to that. Sure. Thanks for answering all the questions.
No worries at all.
Yeah, you are the best looking business partner, I'll be honest with you.
It's too late for you, Jason. Everyone can get it except Kevin.
Yeah.
Thanks a million, Alex, for all the questions,
Welcome,
or all the
brother.
answers. Thank you.
My pleasure. All right. Then
Seth,
Luflin.
I know
Seth?
you can do the.
Yeah, I'm leading it. It's Francisco's time. What's good, man?
Hey, what's up? Yeah, thanks for being here. I was wondering whether, because I wanted to like record this. Is that all right?
Yeah, totally.
I'm recording it as well.
Okay.
So it'll be all uploaded in the section as well. Perfect.
Yeah, okay, cool. Yeah, that was it. All right, thanks. Thank you.
Okay, cool. All right, Seth, you're up.
All right, hey, what's going on, Alex? Hey, I just want to say that this is actually insane that you're doing this and everything. I'm actually a United States Army soldier stationed in Germany.
Oh, thank you for the sincerity.
Oh, I appreciate it. Thank you. Yeah. No, the only reason why I'm saying that is because with me being in the Army, they kind of instilled into my head this mindset of don't quit and don't surrender, which already helped me out. The reason why I'm saying this is because it follows up with my next question. What's the mindset you need to have in the beginning of starting a business and also in the quote unquote end?
It's a good question. I'll tell you a story. I think it will help. Are there any, probably not, but let me just ask in general, are there any sports fans in here? Like, do they like sports?
Yeah,
What's your guys' sports? Can you
I'm
drop it in
actually-
the chat for me?
Yeah, I'm actually one of them. I played football in high school.
Nice. Okay, what sport do you guys like? Rugby. Can you drop it in the chat for me? I just want to get a quick sense of this really fast. Soccer. Okay. Rugby, soccer, American football. Cool. MMA. Nice. Cool. Who's your favorite fighter, Ivan? Badman. If it's not Dustin Poirier, we're not friends because he's the fucking man. Love Dustin Poirier. I actually wonder if that's a bad thing to say with the Irishman here. I like Connor too, by the way. It's all good. Mud wrestling. That's dope, Kevin. Okay. With women, right? Just clarifying that. I just want to double check that, right? We're just double checking.
Yeah.
Okay, good. Just making sure. I'm just making sure. All right.
No.
So I'm a huge Miami Dolphins fan. Also, massive Miami Heat fan. That's American football and basketball. I actually used to be a journalist way back in the day. While I was kind of fake doing a business, I was thinking about going into like a sports journalism career. And so when I did the sports journalism career, I didn't know where to start. I didn't go to school for journalism. I didn't know anything about journalism. I was a pretty decent writer and I knew a lot about sports. So what I did was I just emailed 200 different websites, asking them for a byline. A byline is the ability to write on a website. So we're talking about Sports Illustrated, ESPN, the Irish ones, joe.ie, I think it is. I forget how to say it. Sky Sports from the UK, like every single one you can imagine. I actually hired a VA, Seth, for $2 in the Philippines to put together an email list for me to send. And then I had them send out all the emails for me. I got a response back from a Sports Illustrated affiliate called Fansided. Fansided gave me a byline and they offered to pay me $1 per 1,000 views. The website averaged 1,000 views per article, which is not very good, getting paid $1 per article. Now, any article that I wrote about Conor McGregor, Tom Brady, or Ronda Rousey would automatically get 25,000 plus views. So I was constantly writing about them, which fucking sucks because I hate Tom Brady so much. But in general, other than that, that was fun. But I thought because I was a media member, automatically now I have a credential for the Miami Dolphins. And so I remember asking my editor, like, cool, like now I can just go to the games. Like, is that how it works? He was like, no, we don't give you a credential. You still have to get credentialed by the NFL, but it's required by the NFL that the numbers of the PR department are on every website publicly. So you can call them and see if they'll give it to you and use us as your angle. And so I called and I called and I called and I called and I called. I called for 2 months straight, every single day. And every single day I would get the same lady picking up the phone every day. And she would basically just say something along the lines of like, oh, Jason's not available today. Jason's in a meeting. Jason's out of the office. Jason's at an event. Jason's this, Jason, every objection. But I would just keep calling. My mindset at the time, I believe, again, it's easy to say now because this is 10 years ago. But in general, I remember my mindset being like, what do I have to lose? It takes 5 fucking seconds to call. So I might as well just do it. And I really want this bad. I really want this. It's like a childhood dream. I want this. So I kept calling, and training camp was coming up, which is the like basically practice season before the season starts in the NFL. And I knew if I kind of missed that mark, then I probably won't get the credential. So I started calling twice a day. And finally, one day I'll never forget, she says, actually, Jason's available. I'll patch you through now. And now suddenly, after basically 2 months of waiting for this, I'm on that hold music. You know, in America, it's kind of the same like music. It's like this dumbass elevator music. And I remember thinking at that exact moment, I have no idea what I'm about to say. I'm not prepared for this at all. I was just keep doing the same thing. And so Jason picks up the phone. Jason Jenkins, Miami Dolphins media department. How can I help you? I don't remember what I said. It probably sounded something like, me, Dolphins fan-sided, journaling, please, credential now. I don't remember exactly how it was, but I know it wasn't good. And he said, Alex, we have you marked in. We will see you on Sunday. And he hung up. And I was like in a state of shock. I was like, what just happened? Like, was that real? Did that really happen? I remember calling my dad, just insanely excited. And my dad asked me, oh, well, how does the credential work? I'm like, oh my God, I didn't ask. He's like, where do you go? And I'm like, oh my God, I didn't ask. And so I didn't know anything. I forgot to ask all these critical questions because I was so excited. And so I just drove there on Sunday. And I remember walking up to the gate, right? And I'm like, I'm Alex Schlinsky, credentialed media member. The guy looks at his list and he's looking at his list. It felt like he was looking at the list for 2 hours. It's probably like 30 seconds. And then I remember he said, oh, okay, Alex, I have you here from Fansided, right? And he handed me the credential, which I think I have right here. I think it's in here if I can pull it out because that would be cool. I do. Here it is. He handed me this credential, 2014 Miami Dolphins media member. I'll never forget this. I'll never forget the feeling of him handing that to me. Felt like I accomplished something that was impossible. It was just incredible feeling. One of the best feelings I've ever had in my life. Sincerely. One of the best feelings I've ever had in my life. And I remember walking up and doing the training camp that day. And I remember writing the article. And I remember thinking about it later that night about the importance of tenacity. When I was a kid, my parents used to say all the time that you can do anything you set your mind to. I don't know if any of you have ever heard this comment before from a mentor or a parent, but this was one of like the main lessons my parents would say to me all the time, guys, all the time. And I was that annoying teenager that just did not want to listen to it. It was just like annoying to me. I was like, I can't fucking fly. I'm not going to be a NASA scientist. I'm not smart enough. I'm not going to be an astronaut. Like all that stuff. Instead of listening to it, I was just arguing with it. That was my mindset. And I remember after the fact feeling like for the first time in my life by myself with no help, because I did feel a little bit of shame. This is stupid, but it's transparent. I felt a little bit of shame about how I succeeded with my business because I didn't do anything. All that I did was post on social media, ask Lloyd, my attorney, if he knew other attorneys. And then suddenly I was making 10 grand a month. It was like, I fell fucking ass backwards into it. I didn't do anything. I wasn't smart. I didn't do anything. It just happened. And then this, though, I did this by myself from scratch with just desire and tenacity, with audacity that I deserved it, even though I didn't go to school, that I was entitled to it because I was going to make it happen. And I think that's the attitude that a new entrepreneur really needs. You have to be so audacious to be an entrepreneur. It's so much easier to get a job and have someone give you marching orders and just do that shit than it is to forge your own path, to do your own thing, to have the charisma to do it, the consistency, the attentiveness, the willingness, the desire, the passion, the tenacity. The reality is business and life is just a series of obstacles, but the obstacle is the way. It's one of my favorite books. I strongly recommend reading it. Every obstacle you encounter provides you with a new opportunity and a lesson. And that lesson propels you, to your next opportunity. And then when that next opportunity comes, there's the next obstacle. When that obstacle comes, you have the new opportunity, and so on and so on and so on. And as you go on in business, doing the same things, the obstacles diminish because they become the same problems and you learned how to solve them already. Just like when you dealt with the objection the first time, by the time you've dealt with it the 100th time, you already know what to do. And so that to me is by far the most important thing that I try to tell anyone that's new in business. Be fucking tenacious. If you want this, fight for it. And if you don't know if you want it, then you need to journal on what you really want because you won't be tenacious for it. The reason I was tenacious for the Dolphins is because I wanted it badly, very badly. very badly, and I made it happen. And I'm so proud of myself still to this day for making that happen. Seriously, I cannot express to you enough how proud I was at that moment. And feeling pride for yourself is a very, very special thing. If you've never felt pride for yourself before on simple shit, like I studied hard for a test and I succeeded, or I worked hard to make someone feel good and they felt good, or I worked hard on a business opportunity and they were appreciative of it. That type of pride is unmatched, but it requires tenacity. That's the answer.
That's excellent. That's actually the so just to kind of sum it up is just don't have that kind of the mindset of I don't give a fuck, like almost like, excuse my French and everything, but like
No, please curse. I'm cursing all the time.
all right, well, good, because I'm in the fucking army, so we curse every 3 sentences. So
Good.
And so with that being said and everything, this is actually my second question. What would you tell your past self if you had a chance to go and change something that you can do to better yourself in the future? Business wise, sorry.
Yeah, it's really hard, it's really hard because of the surgery, like that shit changes you, man. So that's my initial answer. But I won't go down that route because we already did it twice, but that is for sure the first thing for sure.
Mm-hmm.
I will go down this. I think it's valuable because you guys don't know this. So I'll share it really quick. When I was 18 years old, I was going to go live in Israel for a year as my gap year. And when I went to the doctor, he's like, "You have a heart murmur. Did you know that?" I'm like, "No." So I had to go to the cardiologist and they told me that my aortic valve is incorrect. Basically, I had a bicuspid aortic valve. Your valve is supposed to open up in a Mercedes-Benz sign, 3 leaflets, and mine was a semicircle. And so like, you're going to have surgery pretty much guaranteed, but it won't be until you're like 65 or 70. So like, don't worry about it, which is the most insane shit to hear when you're 18. And so every year from 18 to 29, I did a test, echocardiogram. It's the same thing that they do for women when they're pregnant, but just do it on your chest instead of your belly. And so every year they would check it and say, I'm all good. And then I remember, obviously when I was 29, it wasn't good, but here's the thing. Yeah, I spoke at Harvard last year, which was such a cool experience. And I spoke about this story particularly, but because I suddenly recognized that I had a timer on that I never considered before. Because when you're 18, you're usually not thinking about death. It's just not normally a thing you think about. But when you're 18 and you get told that you probably are going to have heart surgery when you're 50, 60, or 70, it just changes the way you think. And so because of that, I worked way harder. I revved my engine much more than was healthy. Like I was working constantly till 2 a.m, stressing out all the time, which I thought was just normal. I thought that was a normal thing to do, healthy thing to do. And it didn't portray to me other than, and I'm not joking, I'm being very serious, other than losing my hair, creating these bags under my eyes. That shit happens because of overdoing it, overworking, right? That's what happens when you don't treat an engine or your body appropriately. It manifests physically. The problem that I didn't realize is the manifestation that was really bad was what it did to my heart. When you overwork a muscle consistently, what happens? The muscle gets larger, right? You all see Ivan flexing in his photo, right? How did Ivan create a bicep like that? Not by sitting there doing nothing, by overworking the muscle, and thus it gets larger.
He's
and
fat now, by the way. he's very fat now.
Ivan, get back to it, bro.
Just bigger, man. Just bigger. It's not fatter. So it's called bug season.
I am rotund. So, when I had my 10 years between time I was told I'd have to have the surgery till I actually had it. When I was told in 2019 that I would have to have the surgery, I asked them, is it possible because like of stress that my heart grew in size? And they're like, that's 100% a factor. Like overworking, stress consistently, anxiety consistently made it worse. And so because of that, I wish I could go back and tell myself at 18 that you don't need to go extra hard. But I was so committed to the idea of building legacy for my family out of the fear that I would die. Like that's the truth. But the irony is that the overworking is what created the surgery to happen in the first place. And so that would be the number one thing I would tell myself. Slow the fuck down. Don't go so fast. You're not racing against anyone. You're not competing against anyone. You're doing your own thing and define exactly what you want. I lived probably 10 years of my life defining success by someone else's version of it. Jocko Willink, Joe Rogan, Gary Vee, Grant Cardone, David Goggins, Simon Sinek, Greg McCowan, Tim Ferriss, Dave Rogenmoser, Greg Allen. I can name 100 people. I never ever defined what I wanted. I only let other people define it because I was in the mindset that they knew. They don't know shit. The only thing that they know is what they define as success. And I never, ever, ever, not one time until after my surgery, never did I define success other than the esoteric, I want to be successful, which makes no fucking sense. What does that mean? What does that mean? That's impossible. That would be the number one thing I would tell myself. Clearly define what you want, clearly. The more definition you have, the more intention you have, the better you will be at life, the better you will be in business.
Yeah, that's great stuff right there. Thank you for sharing that.
My pleasure.
So then it kind of goes along with you said it beforehand with like time with family. That was a big stressor on you, like in today's like today's state and everything. I actually have a wife and 2 kids of my own.
Nice.
And I'm happy as a clam already and everything, but with me doing this, of course, I want to provide more for my family because the paycheck I don't make is not as good as glamorous as everyone thinks. And
Sure.
so with that, how do you kind of, I don't know how to phrase this question, right?
Good.
How do you like make sure in the beginning stages, I know you probably weren't married during it and you're probably single, but like in the early stages, your significant other, how would you kind of brace them, say like, hey, there's going to be some changes. I can't spend that much time as I want to, you know?
Such a good question. First of all, I did work with my my girlfriend and then fiance and now wife. She's the operations manager of both of the companies. So that was very helpful to have. But the main thing is delineating very clearly, like what sacrifices have to be made. Sacrifices are required to achieve anything you want in life. It's just a matter of, are you clear on what those sacrifices are? So you're communicating appropriately, not just to your loved one, but to everyone, to all the people that care about you, because the way that human beings work is the world revolves around them. Every single person here has a selfish entity because you are yourself, and that's totally okay and completely normal. But because of that, if you don't answer someone's text for 3 days, they are mortally offended, thinking that you're purposely ignoring them when in fact you were just busy as fuck and you didn't even see the message, right? And that's really important, much more for your spouse or significant other than it is for your boy at home that will understand it. And that's the key. Delineating very clearly what the expectations are, which is why I'm just a huge believer of define, design, do. Like I couldn't be more of a believer of that format. It's a big part of my book. Let me see if I can pull this up for you guys really fast. I don't know if I'll have it here fast enough, but I might be able to grab it here. Give me 2 seconds, see if I can get it. But to me, like the major thing is identifying what the finish line is and what the circumstances are that need to have. Here, I got it. Cool. I'll show it to you guys. Can you guys see my screen?
Yep.
This is the format that I recommend. What's the big goal? What are the milestones towards that goal? And then what are the specific activities that need to be hit? Think of it like the Yellow Brick Road, right? You just got to like the Yellow Brick Road.
Is it okay if I take a picture of this? I'm sorry.
Yeah, it's totally fine.
Okay.
Completely fine. So if you identify very clearly, my big goal is, I want to make $25,000 of profit per month. What are the milestones needed to hit in order to get there? And then the activities, and be okay with yourself knowing for sure that you're going to fuck it up the first time. You're not going to get it right. For sure not. But you optimize from there rather than just traversing a landscape. If you have a treasure map, right, towards gold, right, but then you actually don't have a map, how are you ever going to find the gold? Impossible. It's impossible. It's just impossible. So that's the key element. And most people skip it. I'm a big believer of define, design, do. Define exactly what you want, design the path towards it, and then do it. Most people, entrepreneurs, just skip the first 2. They don't define it, they don't design it, and they just do. And then they wonder why they're burnt out, or they're not fulfilled, or they haven't achieved what they want because they don't even know what they're doing. That's the problem.
That's really great. I really like the define, design, do, because I actually noticed that yesterday when I jumped right into the SaaS industry and everything, and I just went to do, and I didn't really define and design. And now I can see
you and everyone else.
Yeah, I can see because now I'm going back on my websites and I'm doing it's just a whole bunch of backtracking almost. This is gonna be my fourth and final question for you. In the early stages of developing your business, what was the biggest lead gen? You probably word of mouth. What was the biggest lead gen that you had in your possession?
Yeah, I mean, I already shared the referral thing. That was by far the biggest. Outside of that, I also shared the Audacity sales, like going in person. That was huge for me. So outside of those two things, religious affiliations was really big. I grew up a religious Jew. I went to temple every single Saturday. And so when I was growing my business, I had no concerns whatsoever of using that leverage. I remember calling the rabbi of my temple and telling him, hey, I'm running a new business. I can work with this specific type of person. I want the temple's help in supporting me building this. It matters to me. And the rabbi appreciated that. Put in the newsletter for free, a free advertising, did not charge me, that Alex is starting a new business, Mazal Tov, which is like, congratulations. I'm guessing most people know what that is without being Jewish. Do you guys know, have you ever heard of Mazal Tov before without what I just said?
Yep. Yeah, I've heard it before.
Some people not. Anyways, so that's just congratulations, right? And so they put it in the newsletter, and then I used that as leverage to go talk to the people I knew in the community that were good fits. They had a yearbook also for the religious community I was in that had everyone's email, phone number, and business name. And all I did was just call them all, and I would use leverage like, hey, I'm Joshua Schlinsky's son. My dad was very well respected in the community. I'm Joshua Schlinsky's son. I just started this business where I can help this. I work with Lloyd Mankus, one of the people in the community. And I really wanted to see if I can chat with you for 15 minutes to show it to you. I probably got $1 million worth of business over 2.5 years doing that. Easy. I went to a very large temple, by the way. The temple was 500 families. So it was huge. So very, very large, very large synagogue. So obviously, if you go to church, you go to temple, mosques, like whatever it is, there's just a lot of opportunity in a religious affiliation.
Mm-hmm. Well, I appreciate your time, and thanks again for coming on this call and everything. I've learned so much, and I can't wait to read your book.
Yeah, my pleasure, dude. It's my pleasure. I appreciate you. All right, Jishnu, hit me.
Cool. Quick question. How much time do we have left? I feel like we're running a bit low.
Good. Don't stress. Go.
All right, cool. Epic. Cool. Thanks a lot for hopping on this call, man. It means a lot to all of us. So I have 2 questions for you. My first one, what are your thoughts on school and college? For entrepreneurs?
Oh, man. Yeah, I mean, in terms of my thoughts on school and college, I'm grateful that I went to college. I think the reality is I don't use my degree at all whatsoever. I was devastated that I had so much student debt, and that the amount of money that I made in the first 5 years of my business, mostly of it had to go to paying down debt, which sucked. I feel like if you are not 100% abundantly clear of what you want out of college, probably waiting a little bit is very healthy and totally normal. So, if you're a high school student and you want to take a gap year for 1 or 2 years to try to start a business, I'm all for that. It's different now because I'm a dad. And so it's like a little bit strange. Like my son's 2. So, I mean, I have a lot of time, but yeah, I don't know. Like in the United States, it's just like expected kind of, like it's expected. Like college dropout has a significant negative connotation to it. But Brian is a college dropout, my business partner, very financially successful. So I think it just depends on what you want. The main thing that I got out of college was the experience. It's hard to match that experience, melting pot experience, which was really good. But in terms of like what you want for your life, if you're not going to be a doctor or an attorney and you're not absolutely clear of your path, I'd probably take a year or 2 gap and see what you want to do with your biz first.
Gotcha. All right, cool. So if essentially you want to pursue entrepreneurship and you don't want to, go down the path of like becoming a doctor or like a lawyer or something like that, you should just focus on your business.
I would give it a timeline, right? Like I would give it a timeline with milestones to be reasonable on it. But I would do that. I would give it a shot for sure. If I could go back, I would do that 100%.
Cool. My second question for you. So when you speak, right, I feel like you can articulate your ideas really well. How did you gain that ability?
I've always been like this. There's no way I can teach. I can tell you particularly. I've always been like this. My dad is a great orator. And my mom is too. I'll tell you a quick story that will explain it. So I told you guys I'm a Jew. I did do my bar mitzvah. I'm sure most of you know what that is. When you're 13 years old, you have to like read from the Bible, which is in Hebrew, which is not fun. And then you have to do a speech. As I mentioned, I went to a temple with 500 families. There was over 1,000 people at my bar mitzvah. And it's required that you have to do a speech for about 15 minutes when you're 13 years old. Not exactly the most exciting thing for most people. My dad made me practice it every single week for a year before Miami Dolphins games. So Dolphin games are on Sundays. We would go Sunday morning. We would practice it at the temple until I got it right. When I got it right, we would go get ice cream. I remember this very clearly. Go get ice cream, go home, watch the Dolphins game. That was every single week. My dad was a very hard teacher, but very clear about understanding tonality, the way you communicate, speaking with pace, speaking with appropriate tone, with conviction and pride, being funny and jovial, self-deprecating, but also caring. He just taught me a lot about that. And then I'm just a passionate person. I wear my heart on my sleeve. I'm a psychotic sports fan, just like completely unreasonable to the point that just is totally ridiculous. I mean, it's just ridiculous, but just how I am. Like, I'm a bleeding heart. Like from day one, I always have been, I always will be, just in my style, just who I am. So in terms of like speaking, coaching and stuff, like the main thing is understanding, I'm a big believer of not pre-preparing speeches. It needs to be talking points so that you can riff comfortably. And if you don't feel comfortable riffing, then you need to learn how to be comfortable, because when you try to read something off of a script, especially a presentation or speech, it just becomes completely inauthentic and ruins the value of it. And I'm a big believer of not doing that. So hopefully that gives you some insight.
Yeah, for sure. Cool. That's it for me. Thanks a lot, man.
Yeah, no worries. Got you. What's up, Ian? You're up. I'm guessing your name is Ian, right? Just with a I.
Yeah, same spelling. Yeah, same pronunciation. Yeah.
Cool.
I have a couple questions. The first one is, at what monthly revenue were you doing roughly, like on average, were you doing when you started going from just consulting and doing your business to actually like presenting and coaching what you sell?
That's a good question. So in 2017, I launched the first course for POD, which was a $1,000 course that I sold on a weekly webinar. The weekly webinar was my story, from the college story to the UFC, to the Miami Dolphins, to journalism, to running the agency. The timeline from 2014, when I got my journalism media badge, to 2017, I got probably, say, like $20,000 worth of coaching. And I got my agency very fast to about $100,000 a month, because attorneys just pay a lot of money. And I was a savage salesperson, just unstoppable salesperson. And I still am. But the major thing was, all I had to do was be mediocre with results, because with attorneys, I'll give you a quick example if you guys don't know this. In the United States, if you get into a car accident and you get damaged for life, every attorney basically has a 30% margin that they take. So if you get a settlement from an insurance company of $250,000, okay, and the attorney gets 30% of that, which is 75 grand, and I charge $5,000, okay, for my service, one $250,000 client pays for a year and a quarter of my service. Just one. So all I had to do is just be mediocre at getting results. And because that's a no-brainer, attorneys are going to spend that over and over and over. So I never lost attorneys ever, literally, just kept them. And so by the time I was at 100K, 85 to 100K is when I started POD.
And you were just like, your service was always just like lead gen, or can you like
Only
go a little
Google
bit more in
Ads.
depth again?
Just Google
Pardon?
Ads only.
Only
Just
Google Ads.
Google Ads. Just nothing else.
No SEO, no trying to.
Nothing. Tried Facebook retargeting for a while, but nothing came of it. Never worked. Was extra expense. Wasn't needed. I know that I leave stuff on the table for sure for my clients. I know that, but I never promised to be a comprehensive service. And I understand my market really well. I also tell all of my clients that they should have multiple vendors, because it's totally fine to have multiple vendors. You're never going to leave me. Never going to leave me, because I'm going to get
as
you
long
the
as
case.
you're providing that ATM.
That's exactly right. It's like if I'm a pizza restaurant, okay, and a client comes to me, he's like, I want ice cream. Am I going to make him ice cream? No, I make fucking pizza. Go get ice cream somewhere else. They come to me, can you do SEO? I used to do that. Yeah, I could do SEO. And then I would do it. And what happens? The results suck dick, because we don't know what we're doing.
Yeah. So just like, you don't necessarily have to niche into who you target, but you have to niche into what you do.
It's either one of those. I prefer both, target and the offer, but it can be either. I certainly prefer both. I mean, that's how I coach. That's my recommendation. That's what I do. That's what I've scaled. Basically like building the most boring business possible so you can then build something that's a lot more fulfilling, because boring is scalable, and scalable means you make more money consistently. The thing about online right now is everyone flexes revenue, right? You asked me how much money I was making. You didn't ask me how much profit I was making. Who fucking cares if I was making $100,000 in revenue, if I was making $5,000 in profit? Who fucking cares? Who cares?
Okay. Then I'll restate the question. How much profit were you doing then?
Probably about 30 grand, probably about 30. So roughly like 30% around that. Basically what I did was, you know, I tried to do the ads myself for a while. Very stupid. Hired a company, Reach Local, to do the ads for a while. Ironically, the account manager I worked with was like a nice Jewish mom. So she really fit very well for me. I had we worked with her for about a year and they were amazing. They were so good, but their costs were crazy, like killing me on margins. And so I asked Margot, like, hey, do you like working at Reach Local? And she's like, it's okay. Like, you're my favorite account. And I was like, is that like bullshit, like type thing? I was like, is that real? Like, is it for real? She's like, yeah. I'm like, what if I pulled you from Reach Local and you run my team and I build the business with you? And she was like super down. So she still works with us. Thank God. Love you, Margot. You're the best. She helped me scale the agency a lot more effectively because she knew how to hire media buyers and develop effective strategies for our clients to consistently get good results. And that allows us to just stay focused, but she's expensive. And so are the other people that we hired. So roughly 35% margin, but I don't do anything at all for the company, which is great.
Yeah. And then I have another question. Also kind of, so you mentioned a couple of times that you made like X amount of money from X amount of people, like you made $500,000 out of like the 500 people that you reached out to from your from the temple.
Yeah.
Like, and that was just selling the Google ads, but
you got to consider what I mean, by the way. When I say $500,000, I'm talking about over time, right? It wasn't upfront.
Yeah,
right? So
no,
$5,000 product and 10 people buy it, that's 50 grand. And then if they do that for 10 months, that's 500 grand.
And at what points were like, I'm sure when you were starting out, your prices were probably lower because you didn't know as much. Like, after how many years, like, would you say you like, have you ever like 10x your price, like the cost that you sell for? Like, and
not 10x. I started my service at $2,500 a month. And then as soon as my clients started telling me, like, because I didn't really understand the market as well until I started getting into it. As soon as they started telling me that we got a case that was, going to generate us $75,000, I'm like, oh, well, this is stupid. Why am I charging $2,500? So then I just changed it. Probably after like a year. It wasn't long. It was not long.
Cool.
It was very fast.
Thank you.
Pricing is all about the value you provide based on the amount of money they're going to make. So like earlier, Kevin mentioned like he works with martial arts. It's like, I didn't say this before, I'll say it now, but like I try to avoid any low ticket service products for the clients I work with, just because to consistently prove value to that, they're charging $100 a month per client. So like, you're not going to really be able to like make them money enough for them to retain with you long-term. Like I try to generate a service where it's just a no-brainer. Like I said, I get one client quality, just one in a whole year, and they paid for a year and 3 months, right? But obviously I get more than one. On average, we get like 3 of those per year, and then a bunch of like $1,000 clients, right? A ton of them, right? That's usually how it works.
Awesome. Thank you.
You got it, buddy. Travis Davis, how are you, bud?
Good. How are you?
Good, man. How can I help you?
All right. So I wrote down a couple things. First one was, you mentioned earlier you had a book. I was going to ask your top 3 books, excluding yours, which is I'm obviously going to add into the one on sales, one on mindset, and one on like balance with like your personal life and then work, like that type of balance.
Essentialism on Balance is probably my favorite book I've ever read, by Greg McElchar. It's amazing. Such a good book, such a good book. On sales, there's a lot of them. Spin Selling by Oren Klaff probably is my favorite. That was like an OG book that I read. I really like that a lot. What was the other one you asked me?
Mindset.
Obstacle is the Way, unquestionably. Must be done. Such a fucking good book. So good.
All right. I got those. And then the last one, just one more. Tips for one call closing.
Yeah. So I have like an hour-long training about this in my Facebook group. So I'll drop my Facebook group for you guys. The number one thing is like, what's the 99? Like, you guys know what the Pareto principle is, the 80-20. You ever heard of that?
Yeah. Yeah.
80% of effort delivers 80% of your results. Here's the 199 or the 99-1, the 1% thing that you can do on your calls to get 99% better results. And that's telling, not asking. If you're ending your calls with like, what do you think? Like, did you like this? Like, do you want to work together? Don't ask those types of questions. Tell your prospect, Travis, based on every single thing you've told me today, man, every single thing that you're looking to achieve is behind the doors of working with me. Sincerely, I have proof to back this up. I know without a shadow of a doubt, it's the right fit for you. You need to make this investment. It's a $2,500 a month investment. I'm going to make you 10x that number. And I've proven it time and again. This is the right fit. We should do this. Seriously. It's going to make a huge difference. Telling, not asking is by far the number one most important thing. I have so many sales trainings, so many, like a ridiculous amount, that you should just follow me everywhere and you'll have it. You could also find most of my stuff on here, which I just dropped for you. My replay vault, which is just like, we do a weekly show every Thursday at 3 o'clock in our Facebook group where you can join and ask questions like this in a Zoom call. It's free. And we talk about sales all the time. So happy to help you anytime.
Okay, thank you.
You got it. If any of you text me at this number, let me pull it up for you. It's my GHL thingy. Hold on. I just need to pull it up for you, and then we'll be good.
We don't
Anyone
get
else
your
have any-
personal number?
No. you get my GHL. You get my GHL number. You're welcome. I don't know which one it is. Event. Did anyone else have any other questions for me?
Yeah, I had one.
Go ahead.
So basically me and my business partner, we just like signed up on GHL. And so we're pretty much newbies still in that sense.
Cool.
And when we were doing the call today with one of the representatives of GHL, they went over the program with us.
Yeah.
And one of my questions would be, there should be like a learning curve to them, right? Because there's a lot of software, a lot of atomizations that we could introduce. And how do you explain it to them? How do you like close it? Like,
Hey,
how
guys.
do you approach it?
I'll answer that for you and then we'll wrap here. If you just text me this 1CC and your name to this number, GHL will send you all my one call close stuff. And it's like an hour-long training.
Thanks. It was awesome.
Yeah. Francisco, I don't really understand the question, to be honest.
Yeah, so basically, GHL, when we're gonna sell the software as a service to other companies, there's a lot of like information behind it. And I'm just like, me and my business partner were wondering how we would sell that, or like how we would teach the potential clients.
Yeah, I actually just did a spotlight session with Paulson about this exact topic, literally like 3 weeks ago. Let me pull this up here. Alex Schlinsky. I'll pull it up for you, but the answer is that you got to simplify the you have to simplify the other features. This is it right here. I just dropped it for you, Francisco, but I just did a training with Paulson about this literally last month.
And it brings this much.
And basically the idea is simplifying the features so that you don't overwhelm them and focusing on one feature, not 10. That's all. Super simple. Keep it very, very simple. Remember, it's the same thing as the ATM. I use the plumbing metaphor a lot. It's like if your toilet breaks and a plumber comes to your house and he's like, I could use a vacuum, I could use my hand, I could use a snake. They're like, I don't care, just fix my toilet. And that's the same exact idea. You just want to simplify it. You just want to simplify it, give them one thing that's going to be valuable for them so that they can implement it easily. I know Ivan didn't get a chance to ask his question, so I'll give it over to you and then we can wrap for today.
Hey Alex, how's it going? Sorry, my internet cut out a second ago. I had to come back. But
You're good.
Yeah, so I just wanted to know about your opinion on someone that I kind of look up to and have been looking up to for a long time.
I hate that guy, man. He's the worst.
Oh. yeah.
Say my bad.
So I want to know more about it. What you think? So, what do you think about Alex Hormozi and his style of business and doing sales?
I will say that his designer clothes look very weird. Not a big fan of the cut off jean
Tank top and
The Crocs.
but that's, you know, the socks with Crocs, man, that is just what in the fuck.
that's
But
tough.
that is hella strange. No, I mean, I have a lot of respect for Hormozy. We just made a joke about him at our event because we were talking about like the absolutely insane offers that are in the space now, because his book became very popular in the marketing space. And so because of that, everyone's like making ridiculous offers. Like, if you don't make this amount of money, we're going to give you all your money back and $10,000 and we'll give you our firstborn child. It's like, what in the fuck is going on? His insights are great. I mean, he's a very smart guy. I think his new business model, the acquisition model, is totally fucked up. And a lot of people I know did it and got completely fucked, which I don't like. And I'm not about that, but I see why they did that. And everyone can make their own adult decisions. So can't blame Hormozy for it. I respect it and understand it. I know the new owners of Gym Launch, Kale, and I know Michael Ferreira. He was one of my clients. It seems like he did a really good job of helping them make sure that the business is legit, which I have a lot of respect for. I hate when people sell businesses that are really just them as the business and then kind of fuck the rest of the. So that's really cool. And all his videos are really good. I mean, he's has provided very top quality content in the industry. So can't say anything negative about him other than socks and Crocs is just a terrible look, bro. Just a bad.
Got it. Okay,
also, I'm jealous about his beard. Other than that, but yeah, I'm jealous about his beard. Other than that,
nice beard.
Oh,
yeah, it's a good beard.
Alex.
I can't do more than this. This is it. That's what I got.
It'll go eventually. Don't worry.
Yeah, one day I'll grow up. All right, fam. I'm gonna rock at it.
Thank you so much for your
Appreciate
time,
it, Alex.
man. Know you gotta bounce. We'll speak soon.
Alex.
And yeah, cheers, man.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Go get them, guys.
Thank
You got
you.
this shit. Remember to find what you want, get what you want, work towards it, be tenacious. Holler at me if I can help. I'll see y'all soon.
Cheers, guys.
Thank you.
Thank you.